everybody. Welcome back to the Bridge Towards Wealth. I'm Christopher Klepp, financial planner at Strategic Financial Group, where we help business owners in and outside of their business expand to their vision. Today, we're welcomed by Togai Atac, founder and managing member of Adam Law Group. Aside from his role as the chief executive of the firm, Togai works closely with both robust small U.S. businesses and U.S. subsidiaries of foreign businesses to maximize their business growth. Togai acts as general counsel to clients, and his practice consists of structuring business transactions as well as commercial litigation. Today, we're talking how to use legal tools to help protect and grow your business. Welcome, Togai. Excited to have you.
Oh, so great to be here. Thanks for having me, Chris.
Before we get going, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you ended up founding Adam Law Group?
Yeah, sure. So Adam Law Group has been around for 15 years now. And interestingly, it was founded by Atac, who is my wife and partner. And she was kind enough to let me come on board, and then eventually decided that maybe I should be the one to have the heavy lifting in managing the firm. So she initially founded the firm doing immigration work, both for family and business matters. But as business clients grew for immigration matters, she realized that people had business transaction and dispute needs. And it was not that long. It was probably about 6 months after she founded the firm that she said, things are ramping up. What do you think? You want to do it? And I took a crazy leap and left my job at that time where I was doing business transactions, and came on to Adam Law Group. So maybe about 6 months or so after its inception, and started going at it. That's the background. And then eventually the business transactions and litigation side of the firm actually grew larger. So today, we primarily are a transactions and litigations firm.
Great, great. Well, so I know that, anytime that you're talking about being business transactional, right? Like you're dealing with a lot of new young business owners. And what I've seen a lot is that many of them have sprouted up over the last few years. So what's been your experience in seeing businesses sprout up over the last few years? Are you seeing more come to the table to help with you? I mean, are they earlier in the life cycle than they were previously? What's been your experience over the last few years with this, what I feel is a new sense of entrepreneurship here in America?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, yeah, I'm a huge believer in entrepreneurship because, it really provides the way for personal autonomy, more than anything else. And if approached the right way, it could end up providing a lot more stability than the more traditional employment approaches that most people tend to take. But obviously, it comes with a lot of risk, and one should go in with eyes open. So we have clients from all stages, both on the more seasoned and robust end, and clients who are sprouting up. And some of our clients have been around for decades, and some are those who come to us and say, hey, I'm thinking of starting a company. How should I structure this? What are the things I should concern myself with? In terms of trends in the last few years, I would say I have seen that there's been a trend in both brand new business owners attempting to start new ventures, as well as seasoned business owners who are doing spin-off projects. I see both. And for those who are coming at it with the experience of having already done another business, they've already been through some of the more difficult things to figure out. So they're going in with more eyes open. Frankly, sometimes we see more of those clients because they know when is the right time to talk to an attorney or other advisors. And as far as those who are starting from scratch, yeah, I would definitely say we see those too, but probably not as prevalent as those who already have some business experience and are trying new ventures.
Gotcha. So what you're seeing is the entrepreneurs that you're dealing with are they're new businesses, but they're not new business owners, and so that's sort of interesting.
Yeah. I mean, that term serial entrepreneur, right? The word serial might even be redundant, right? I mean, if you start a company, there's a high chance that you're gonna have it in you to do something else, either adjacent, tangential, or something else entirely different. So we see that a lot.
Well, yeah, I think once a business owner gets that sense of control over their destiny in their blood. If they exit or if they exit out of a business, they sort of want to get back into it after a while because a lot of business owners I know we just sort of like running around with our hair on fire all the time as we do this. So
Yes.
so in dealing, right, like so you mentioned that some of the business owners you're dealing with, right, been through it before, know when sort of to think about, have maybe through trial and error know what they should or shouldn't do. What are some of the things that you think that business owners should spend more time on in the formation or the early stages of their business that maybe a more experienced business owner knows about, but a newer business owner doesn't know about and should think about more deeply?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So our instinct as entrepreneurs, if let's say, you are a software developer, right? Your background is in coding and developing software, etc. And that's what you're going to want to spend a lot of time doing. If you are an accountant, right? And or if let's say you're a dentist, you're a therapist, whatever, that's what you studied. And those pathways in your mind as to how to be successful in doing that thing already exist. So you're going to have an inclination to do all of those things. But in none of the schools for any of those subjects, or really any other, is there an emphasis on all the ancillary wraparound subjects that are necessary to master to be a good business owner and a good business executive? So, just because let's say you're an excellent engineer doesn't mean you know anything about all the other things it takes to be successful as an owner of an engineering firm, right? And so the biggest piece of advice I could give is spend less time doing the thing that you're great at and make more time for developing muscles that are not developed in your body at all. So, if your craft is let's say dentistry, well, spend time learning about accounting principles, about systems, about internal operations management. So there's a plethora of things outside of the substantive part of what your company does. If that's dentistry, there's going to be a lot of accounting matters that you're going to need to know and understand that you didn't learn in dentistry school, right? And then there's going to be HR issues. And then there's going to be insurance requirements. Then what about negotiating a lease for your space? How to deal with vendors, right? None of these things have anything to do with the substance that you're an expert in. So the thing that I would recommend the most against that backdrop is ask questions to professionals who are not in the same profession as you. Talk to the financial planner, right? Talk to an accountant, talk to an attorney, talk to an insurance person, talk to a marketing person, talk to a banker. If you have a personal connection with each of those categories that I just mentioned, your chances of succeeding in your business have just gone up astronomically. because your business is not really just about what you think it's about, the dentistry, the therapy, the engineering, the accounting. It's about all these other ancillary things that you just need to get good at. Secondly, after talking to individuals and forming personal relationships, and I don't mean just have a banker that you can call at 1-800 number. Actually know the person, have a dialogue with them. Uh, you know, meet with them once in a while to really pick their brain. Then for each of these different areas, I would set up systems. I do this at my own business. I recommend all my clients to do it. This isn't necessarily straight up legal advice, right? This is just kind of holistic business advice. Actually set up an operation system, set up a financial system. At what point of the month do you do your invoicing? Who does it? What system do you use for it? How about your collections, right? What do you do for marketing? Who do you use for that? Do you have time in your calendar for HR matters if you decide to hire even one employee initially? Or let's say you have a stable of employees, you have a full team. Do you have a time in your calendar every month that you consider HR issues, right? And really, when you start to do this, you start to realize that the substance of what you do, what you think of yourself as, let's say you're, going back to the example of the engineer, you're an engineer, you realize that is just one component of your business. That's what I would call the production bucket, right? That's what you make, that's what you produce, the services of engineering. But that is probably one of these four categories of things that you should be paying attention to in any given week. And so I
Yeah.
would have a system for all of that.
And so when I hear you talking about, right, is that like, so you have your circle of competence, right? And so you want to expand your circle of competence, but you don't need to be the specialist in it, right? You're not talking about the dentist doing his own accounting, just being aware of those things and being knowledgeable, so you can keep an eye on that piece of your business because you are an entrepreneur. It just happens to be that your entrepreneurial pursuit in this case is dentistry oftentimes, and you see that change with people. I find that very interesting because we always talk with our clients about having that team of experts and helping our business owner clients be able to make sure that all of those specialists are communicating and all driving towards what your goal is, and without having a good conversation as the business owner with those other professionals, I think it's hard to drive everything in the same direction for you.
Absolutely. It's like if you go out and watch a really great movie, and you get enamored by the star. Well, there were probably, hundreds of other people involved, and you just happen to be focusing on the star, but hundreds of people involved, if not more, in making that a good production. A good business is the same way, right? And if you don't recognize that you're going to need to rely on a team of experts in fields that you're not an expert in, what you're going to do is actually going to stunt your growth. Initially, it might be very tempting to focus on the thing that you're selling and spend all your time doing that thing. But if you keep doing that month after month, year after year, initially it's going to feel good to make money, but then you're going to realize you have an unhealthy and lopsided business because you haven't come up with a team to help you with these other aspects of your business. It's like a table has four legs, right? If you only work on one leg, the table's just not going to stand up, it's going to fall. So yeah, you need to be mindful of your operations. You need to be mindful of your production. You need to be mindful of your business development. You need to be mindful of your finance and all the subcategories in between.
So it sounds like, right, that your approach with your clients and you talking with them about it, right? So, it's a lot of times I think people may view an attorney as someone that they go to for a problem, right? Like they need to form their business here, I need you, and then they're done. Where it sounds like your relationship with your clients is more ongoing, more consultative. I mean, it sounds and so I know that people think large business, right? Like we know that, the Fortune 500 companies have general counsel, right? That sit on staff. They have attorneys that work for these Fortune 500 companies. Obviously, a smaller company doesn't have the budget to have just someone in there as an attorney, but you're operating more as as a member of their success team. And so you talk about, I know that you work with your clients as outside general counsel. So can you help us understand, so it sounds like you've described that relationship a little bit already. But tell me when should a business think about hiring, a part-time outside general counsel like yourselves, and how does that differ from maybe what people think of, like, oh, hey, I need to get this contract done. Now I'm going to contact the attorney.
Right, right. Yeah. So, it's a union, it's a partnership, it's being a part of a same team, right? When you don't go out when it's time for the game to say, all right, let me get my quarterback or something like that, right? That just wouldn't make sense. You forge that team well before the season begins, and when I say forge, that's probably an appropriate word, right? The people get to know each other. They get to understand each other's habits, their psychology, how they think, and they start to work together over the course of time in order for success to occur. So that's exactly how it works. That's how I like to see it work with our clients. That's not always how it works with every attorney or every client. Hey, if you want to come to us and say, I have a dispute I want you to handle, and you've never met us before, great. It is a first introduction for everyone and everything. Or if you say, I have this, contract I need reviewed or drafted, maybe that's the occasion in which we meet. But our ideal working relationship is that's an introduction. We're glad to help you. And then hopefully we keep that dialogue going, and small things come up from time to time. You call, you send an email, you say, hey, I want to discuss this. And then we get to know each other over the course of time. We like to really understand our clients, not only personalities, but their business culture over the course of time, so that we can, handle whatever next transaction or dispute comes up for them in the best light possible. We've had some of our clients for 15 years now, and many of them over a decade. It's a long-term relationship. And the beauty is, right, I always say, in a perfect world, every company has their in-house counsel, but most small, even small and robust and successful companies don't have the budget for, or the need, frankly, on a daily basis for an in-house counsel. The next best thing is a relationship that mimics that without the overhead, right? If you don't need your attorney that week, that month, you shouldn't have to pay for them. But if you do need them 5-6 weeks from now, hey, it's a good thing you have a long-term relationship so that you could just reel them right back in at the point in time where you need them. And so we keep going in and out of our clients' lives for years on end, sometimes every few weeks, sometimes every few months. There are clients I might not talk to for 6-8 months, and then they call me with something and we pick up where we left off. But it's really important to have long-term relationships.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. We, in dealing with business owners, I know that it's always helpful for us to have smaller continual conversations, as opposed to, there are some people that only meet with, their advisor one time a year. It's a big meeting. Like, I don't think that I can pay attention for 2.5 hours at a time most of the time anyways. But I think it's important to have that kind of conversation, because there are small things that are picked up, right, in a conversation. If you have that relationship that say, oh, hey, maybe there's this opportunity for us from a legal perspective, from a financial planning perspective, whatever it is, to be able to help that business move forward, right? Because then it's really about helping them manage risk, right? Because a large part of what you're doing, right, is helping those clients manage their risk, right? Because the business owners, a lot of times, they're just focused on running their practice, right? And they don't think about they don't want to think too long on the things that bad things that can happen. And I know from my world that's largely a question of, oh, hey, how do we insure against this? How do we manage risk from our point of view? How do you help your clients manage risk through legal means?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, it kind of goes back to my personal philosophy or definition of what business means. I came up with a definition years ago that I like. I don't care what anybody says. Uh, for me, it's real simple, and I like to get to the most abstract and simple version of something to best understand it. So for me, at its heart, all business equals taking risk to make a profit. That's it. Taking risk to make a profit. Really, any business falls into this definition. And then the question becomes, all right, what are the right risks to take? What are the ones that are not going to result in a profit? What are the ones who are going to result in less or more profit, right? And what are the risks that are might result in really great profits, but they're too big a risk to take, right? So, I look at this not only as an attorney, right? Not only as is someone who has a team of attorneys that I try to espouse this mindset to, because I try to get our whole team to share this vision. But I also think of it as an entrepreneur myself, right? Because that's the autonomy that you're seeking as a business owner. You want that freedom, but then you don't want to take these risks that are actually going to backfire and put you in a much worse position than had you not gone into business in the first place. But by definition, you can't succeed in business unless you take risk. So our role as an attorney is to really have sympathy, first and foremost, have sympathy for the business owner as a risk taker. If we don't respect our client's decision to take risks in the first place, then we're not actually helping them, because all business is a risk. And so attorneys' knee-jerk reaction is typically, that's risky, don't do it. That's risky, don't do that, right? But then just don't leave your house in the morning, right? That's risky too. You might get hit by lightning or hit by a car, right? It happens. So don't leave your house. But if you're going to do business, you're going to take risks. So I think a good attorney who's a team member to his client, rather than someone who's battling them always and convincing them not to take risks, is to do the following. Understand the risk that the client is trying to take. Try to identify the possible rewards and identify the downsides. And then hold that up as a mirror to the client and say, I want you to take as great or as small as risks as you want, but my job is to make you understand how bad are the risks and are the rewards there, and let you make that informed decision. That is the goal that we aspire to. And one of the benefits that we have in handling both litigation and transactions is, well, when you're working on a piece of transaction, you get to kind of say, yeah, I've been down this route when this clause was getting litigated, and here are the things that can happen. And that allows us to advise the client better. Or when you're in the middle of a piece of litigation, you look at that contract and say, boy, I would have drafted that differently, knowing where this lawsuit is. And had I been that attorney who drafted this thing, I wouldn't have put that clause in there. I would have worded it differently. But yeah, I think it's about, ultimately, to answer your question, identifying the risk, making it as plain, as clear to the client as possible, helping them understand the rewards so that they can make the informed decision themselves.
Well, I think you're speaking my language, right? It's a client's risk tolerance and helping them manage that risk, right? And so the answer for how much risk I'm willing to take might be different than the amount of risk that you're willing to take as an entrepreneur, but it's you're viewing yourself as a partner, helping at least make them aware of it, and then how can we address this, right? And if you don't want to address it, you can. If you want to address it through this way, do you not want to even now on this new venture because it's just too much risk? So that and helping the client make the decision that feels right for them. So I think that's amazing. And with that, I think it brings this, I think, to a close. I think this makes a lot of sense in helping your clients and showing how you can be a partner. Now, Togai, if a listener wants to reach out to you after our conversation, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Sure, absolutely. So our website is atom.law. Made
Okay.
it as simple as possible. So they can reach us there. They could reach us by phone at 312-943-8000. Or they could feel free to email me at taatac@atom.law.
Well, fantastic. We'll be sure to put all of those links underneath the video and in the blog post for you. Togai, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you as well, Chris. Thanks for having me.